Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
And Eric V.
And today we're joined by our very special guest, Karey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, weather's finally feeling like fall, not
Absolutely.
80 degrees in fucking November. Oh, yeah, feel free to curse as much as you want as well.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Hell, there you go. Where are you from?
I originally, I can't really say a pinpoint area.
Yeah.
I grew up pretty much being handed between family members to family members all over. So between Baltimore to Chase to Essex to Pasadena. So
Yep.
Maryland generally, but all different counties.
Okay. And when were you first introduced to recovery?
I was introduced in recovery back when I was about 36, when I started dating a gentleman that was an addict, and we would go every now and again. Yeah.
All right. And how long have you been clean?
I've been clean almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years November 20th of this year.
Hell yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Wait, when was that? What time? How? What was that date again?
November 20th.
November 20th? Oh, I'm November 26th.
Nice.
Nice. Hell yes,
Yeah.
we're coming up. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, I'm going to turn it over to you. Share your story with us. Take it away.
Okay, so where to start? I, as a child, my father was an active addict. I was handed from family member to family member from as early as I can remember, starting with my great-grandmother. There was a lot of emotional and physical and mental abuse throughout my whole childhood.
Yep.
I went from my great-grandmother to my grandmother to my aunt to my aunt to my other aunt. By the time I got to the last
How many aunts
aunt,
do you have?
Yeah, a lot.
Jeez.
I mean,
Okay.
like, technically, like, the first aunt that I was with was my grandmother's sister.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, so great aunt.
Great aunt.
Okay.
So, like, looking back, I have, like, bits and pieces of memories that I have gotten back from therapy that I'm starting to put together as to how I ended up where I am now.
Yeah.
But the most stable home environment that I had was with my aunt and uncle out in Chase. I lived with them for about 4 years in my middle school career.
Where is Chase?
Chase is over by Gunpowder State Park on the other side
Yeah.
of 95. But also during that time, I was molested by a math teacher.
What the
Like, how, though? Like,
Yeah, like skipping the whole, like, younger years, like, I was molested, like, as a child. Like, I don't even use the word molested anymore. At, like, 9 years old, I was raped by my babysitter's boyfriend.
What the fuck?
so as terrible as this sounds, like, that one seems more feasible. But, like, how does the math teacher, like...
The math teacher, we would have after-school math activities. I
Oh,
was really
God.
good in math back in those days.
So he, like, fucking pushed you up, essentially, right? Or,
Yes, and, like, there was a lot of pictures taken. I was young.
What
Like,
the fuck?
of course, like, I know
you
now.
liked the pictures. So he's
Yeah.
grooming you.
Yes. And like, I know now that that was because I was craving, the attention of my father, but I was taking any attention from any man, even at that young of an age. But the rape at 9 years old made me very sexually not available to people. So, like, some of my friends became very active. I became very non-active. But I still did, like, I didn't realize it was inappropriate or wrong until later on, both of those situations, actually.
Yeah.
Fast forward through, like, I went to...
When was like? So you're not. How old are you?
I'm 47.
Okay, so this is early 80s. Okay.
Yes. And, fast forward, like, of course, I wound up living with my grandmother. I had seen my father overdose many times by this point. I had pulled my father out of a bandos in Westside, Baltimore, seen the double track mark, swore I would never use a drug, never touch anything, was a straight A student, had an opportunity to work for the NSA coming out of high school.
Really?
Unfortunately, that did not happen because my father was on a bender and never got back in time to sign the release papers.
Oh.
And I know I'm kind of, like, jumping all over the place, but it's kind of hard to tell, like, your whole story.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, like, just kind of, like, give a brief overview. But, the most stable time I had was with my aunt and uncle. They instilled in me the morals and the values that I carried even through active addiction. I moved in with my grandmother in the high school years. She also was very physically and mentally and emotionally abusive. But I also know now, looking back again, through my journey in recovery and through outside treatment as well. That stems from her childhood and how she grew
Oh,
up.
yeah, of course.
And
Yeah, it's just
that's
monkey see, monkey do.
Love-hate relationship with her, right? And when she passed, it was devastating. But I moved out of her house when I was 16 and started renting a room in my girlfriend's basement at 16. Had the same boyfriend all through high school. Met my ex-husband when I was 18. We were married. I was married at 19, had my first son at 20.
Whoa, super young.
Yeah. Had my second son at 24.
Whoa, wait, so your kids are grown?
Yes.
Do you have a 23-year-old and a 27-year-old?
22 and 26.
22. I was close. Okay. I almost mathed.
Yeah, 22 and 26. And
You're good at math. I'm not.
I'm not good at it anymore. Not as good as I used to be. I prefer history and social studies and English now. I think my interest in math stemmed from that math teacher, right? And I took that class because he was giving me the attention and he pulled me into that class. I'm more interested in like the other side of things, either like math or, for what I've seen, social studies or English, and I like social studies and English. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like fast forward, went through the 20 years of marriage. You know, like I had a full-time job. I was working in that time, you know, just to kind of put a little bit of history there. My oldest son was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 6. I dropped out of school from getting my bachelor's degree, became a full-time stay-at-home mom with a 1.5-year-old son. And my oldest son battled cancer for several years, and he had a bone marrow transplant February 24th of 2004. And he's been in remission ever since, but that was a big part of my life. And then after he had started to get better and get back into like a regular routine, I started realizing that I wanted more from my life than where my husband and I currently were. And he had a job under the table for years, and I wanted a retirement. Right? If you want me to be a full stay-at-home mom and take care of our children, I need you to have a job on the books. Yeah. He also drank a lot, which I find hilarious now because I left him because he wouldn't quit drinking. And wouldn't get like a stable job on the books. But the most thing was his drinking and his anger. And within a year after separation, I was a full-blown addict. So I find that kind of ironic looking back on it.
Oh yeah, of course.
But after the divorce, I looked up an ex-boyfriend from high school. Actually, he wasn't a boyfriend. He was a guy that I hooked up with back in high school.
Yeah.
And
what high school did you go to?
I went to Lansdowne Senior High.
Okay.
Don't judge me for that.
I mean, I went to Catonsville, so naturally I'm judging you.
Totally judging
Yeah.
you.
I'm
like completely judging
Catonsville,
you.
Arbutus, and Lansdowne. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
guys
my
have that
ex that I was with for 7 years is from Catonsville, and you probably know who he is.
Oh.
BJ Brooks.
I don't know. I don't know that person.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we started dating when I was like 36, 37. We hooked up one night. It was on Halloween, and we never stopped. And that was the first time that I did a line on the back of a toilet, acting like I was
At
cool and fit in.
36?
Yes.
At 36 is the first time you were blowing lines off the back of a toilet stall?
Yeah. Like when I went to...
Were you in costume when you hooked up?
I was not. He was.
What was he dressed as?
He was like a skull guy. Like his whole face was painted out. But like we had hooked back up, and it was like immediately like the attraction was there again because we had hooked up back in the day, back in high school, and we hadn't seen each other for years. But yeah, so I was just acting like I was cool. Like I'm not gonna say I never did any other drugs. Like in high school, I tripped on acid on my senior prom. Like my favorite memory ever is like driving home from the prom, listening to Jimi Hendrix, and everything turning purple.
Oh yeah.
And then getting into the hotel back when we were tripping and like the walls were running and all that fun stuff. And sex was bomb on acid.
Of course.
So like I did that. When my father sent me to military school when I was younger. I would go home with girlfriends and we would just do different pills or, that was the age of drinking NyQuil to get drunk.
Oh, yeah.
So mad drinking of NyQuil. But, I didn't think I had a problem then. I was just having fun.
Yeah.
Smoked a lot of weed back then, but as I got older, I didn't really like weed.
What military school did you go to?
Randolph-Macon Military Academy in Front Royal, Virginia.
Okay. They seem to all be in Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all the military schools are in Virginia.
Yeah, it was a really fun time.
Because what is it? I don't know. There's one. I know there's one near Manassas. I don't know. Keep going.
There's a boys, boys one in Manassas. Yeah. But yeah, let me see. So into that relationship with my ex, And it was fun at first, you know, like, and
Of course.
I finally fit in somewhere, like all through
Yep.
middle school and high school. I really didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. I was always the really pale redheaded white girl that never really felt accepted.
Yeah.
Never was a part of the like extremely popular crowd. I was invited to the parties, but was always the one sitting back in the corner. Once him and I got together, it was like a whole new world for me. He had major street cred. Nobody messed with him.
What does that mean? What does major street cred mean?
He had mad clout. Like, we could walk through Baltimore and people just knew who he was.
Okay.
And if I walked into Morris Burgers or any bar in Catonsville, I was served whatever I wanted, drugs or alcohol, without having to pay anything.
Wow.
So, like, having free access to all of those things. And, like, when the bars would close down at, like, 2 a.m., we would be there till 6 a.m.
Because that's something that's really not talked about a lot. Like, the lifestyle is just as addictive as, you know, the drugs themselves.
Absolutely.
Like, having that like that illusion or feeling that you're somebody and like you're important is very alluring, and it can keep you trapped for a long time.
It did. It kept me trapped for a very long time. Man, like, I mean, you just fast forward. It went from you know, doing lines to smoking crack, right? Doing lines to smoking crack, and we were together for years. The friend group that we had at that time, that was my first ever friend group. Honestly, like, I had girlfriends from high school and stuff, and I still have friends with them today. But it wasn't like that group.
Yeah.
It was like street ride or die. It was like it was street life, plain and simple. And
Ooh, that might be a title, Eric. It was street life.
it was definitely street
pretty
life.
dope.
Like, we were out every weekend. We were out during the week. You know, I've had guns put to my head. I've had people pull me out of cars, all because like deals were going wrong, or I went into town and they didn't recognize who I was, and they thought I was a cop. And then when I would drop his name, they would like back off real quickly.
Yeah.
And
White
be
girl in
very-
the city, you're gonna be like, what are you, a narc?
Yeah, you know, like, I've always been that like white suburban looking girl.
Of course.
And never really like had that. I think I went through like maybe 6 months of going full ghetto with like the braids
Of
and
course,
the Timbs and
yeah.
shit. But then I eventually was like, this isn't me.
Yeah. Wait, Eric, were you ever held at gunpoint?
Once.
Once. How? Like, I was held at gunpoint 3 times.
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
I was really high, so I didn't really have a reaction.
Same.
I was kind of more mad that I was like losing money at the moment, than anything else. Like I like it was like 2 days before rehab, so like I was in a pretty bad place. So I didn't really care.
Yeah. The first time I totally like froze up. The second time, like the first one, literally, it was like a surreal moment. I was just like, oh my God, because I was in high school. Like, I'd never had a gun pointed at me, but I was like, oh my God, you take whatever you want. And then the second time, I was just like fucking annoyed. And then the third time, I totally called the dude's bluff, because it was he was in the Barnes and Noble parking lot in Longgate, like in the suburb of the suburb. And it's just like, you're gonna fucking shoot me at noon on a Saturday in fucking Ellicott City? I was like, get the fuck out of here.
I
was like, get out of my car.
You ain't
dude.
got enough balls.
Yeah, I was like, you're not doing shit.
You're a
And he
straight
didn't.
bitch.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. I took the drugs, I took the money. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I was so high also that I was just like, I like looked at the guy and I was like, seriously, bro?
Yeah, you're just like, this is happening.
He was like, yeah, give me everything. I was like, you know who the fuck I am?
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You stupid little white bitch. All this shit.
Yeah.
And I dropped my ex's name and they were like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And they were just like, here's your shit. It's on us. Let your boy know we're sorry. And I rolled out.
But that's also like the level of insanity that we were all in. It's like, we had a weapon. We were this far away from death. Yeah. And we're just like, whatever.
Yeah, like,
don't
fuck,
care.
Like, whatever.
Yep.
I wasn't. I didn't even get scared. Like, I look back now, like doing the step work in the program that I worked in, the 12-step program,
terrifying.
and they ask if you ever been in a situation.
Yeah,
where,
like mortal danger.
Mortal danger. Absolutely. More than one time, right? More than one time.
And the fact that it didn't faze me, like, is scary to me now. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, I was really insane. Like, it was insane. But I loved the lifestyle for a long time. I embraced it. I took everything that came along with it. But eventually, when I got that first hit of crack cocaine, my whole world changed. And like, all through that active using time, we were in and outside of the rooms of recovery. In and out, in and out. I still didn't have a problem, by the way.
Of course.
It was my ex who had the problem. If he got clean, I was good.
Yeah, you were just having fun doing what he was doing.
just having fun.
Totally. Guilty by association.
Yeah, definitely. But once I got, like, the group that we hung out with, they were like, your girl loves Coke too much.
Yeah.
Never, ever let her smoke. And then one day, he went to cop. He was getting some Xannies and a couple other things, and I was waiting outside. And I was like, well, don't go in there and fucking come out here high as shit on crack, right?
Yeah.
Well, he went in. One of our friends were overdosing. So he handled that. He was handling that situation, the ice bags, all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is prior to when it was okay to call 911.
Yeah.
It was prior to Narcan. It was prior to all the...
Oh, yeah. I've done the ice bath for people.
Yeah. Prior to, all the initiatives that, I know that Maryland has taken to help prevent because of the line of work that I'm in now. But, and he comes out high as shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
You motherfucker.
I was already high on powder, so I walked in and I demanded that my one friend give it to me, and she was like, so the first time I ever smoked crack was just to piss off my boyfriend.
I'm gonna smoke crack out of spite.
That's exactly what I did, crack. And it was the most amazing feeling in my life.
The dirtiest feeling at the same time, though.
Yes, I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, but at the same time, it was just wonderful. It got dirty the more I did it.
I'm glad I never smoked crack.
It was the grossest drug, probably.
Oh no, dude, no. Duster is so much fucking worse.
Duster's like, Duster is that type of drug where it's like you go into like
a pice of shit. Like the last time I was going to do it, I was like, I hate everything about myself.
I've explained that one story to you where like I was at like the Copycat building when I was like 18. We were going to buy like Coke, and like we were doing like Coke and Oxys, and like someone like was smoking like an Oxy, and then like they start sniffing Sharpies, and that was like where the group was just like, whoa,
what?
Wow,
guys,
why?
What the fuck is going on here?
Sniffing Sharpies? What are you, fucking
See,
8 years old?
Your reaction's the same as ours, right? We're smoking Oxys and doing Coke,
I'd be like, I'm out of here.
The Sharpies and was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here?
Fucking nerd.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Like one of the craziest things is like when you think you're like doing Coke and then you actually wind up doing crystal meth.
That's the worst.
And you're up for 3 days.
I have never had that.
Oh my God, I've had it happen, and it's horrible.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. And you just keep freaking sniffing the crystal
like,
meth.
I don't understand why I can't go to sleep.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, everybody's against you. Demons are coming out of the walls, and your boyfriend's throwing you out of where you're at, and you're like fucked up for 3 days and don't know where to go. It's crazy.
Yeah, meth is... Yeah, glad I never... No,
it wasn't a choice,
No, yeah.
But luckily I didn't find that fun. So it was never something that I went back to.
Yep.
And like the bonfires we used to have at my house, we used to have parties at my house and like rolling parties at my house and stuff like that. But
So you smoke crack out of spite?
Yeah, smoke crack out of spite, and then all I wanted to do was smoke crack. Powder wasn't good enough anymore.
Really?
Absolutely.
See, I'm the total... I hated crack so much, I just wanted powder. Like, I was just like, I think it was the sniffing action, though. I loved the habit of sniffing anything. So maybe that was why, but I always felt it was dirty. I don't know why. And it, like, when you're smoking crack, there's, like, this moment where you're like, am I about to have a heart attack? Like, you don't really have that with Coke as much, You're like, okay, I'm fine after this line. But after the hit, I'm like, oh, wait, am I going to be able to breathe after this?
No, see, like... For me, when I would get that rush, but then I would be really calm. And a lot of people weren't calm.
Do you have ADD?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So a lot of people
You were
weren't
just self-medicating.
Yeah.
You're not an addict. It's totally self-medication.
I would just be calm. I could like color. I could paint. I could just, listen to music. And then like my ex would be like trying to beat through the walls and people were coming through the ceilings. It was like two different experiences. But like eventually it just all kind of came crashing down.
Of course.
My house got raided. He had pulled a gun on somebody on New Year's Eve one year. And I had been clean I had been abstinent, let me say, for about 2 weeks at that point. And was really fighting not going out. Because I would struggle with, like, using and not using, going back and forth like all of us do. Or everyone that I've met anyway. And, waking up to a SWAT team around your house is insane.
Sucks. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like my youngest son at the time, he was like 12, and he opened the front door.
Oh fuck. That's
and they went to shoot my dog, and and my youngest son, not knowing any better because he very suburban lifestyle, very quiet, very country.
Yeah.
threw himself on the dog.
Thank God.
Good.
So he was able to stop them from shooting the dog because we have a pit lab, and of course they immediately touched the dog. But at that time, like my house had no heat, my furnace had went up. It was dead winter. I was heating my house with a kerosene heater. I look back now, it was just insanity.
Yeah.
With a kerosene heater?
Yeah, insanity.
That's sketchy.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you do in a band.
That's
Yeah.
that's the way my dad one time heated the garage that I was living in, but the kerosene started to burn too high, so there were just large amounts of black soot that just started coming up into you remember my old place. The entire ceiling when I came downstairs was black from the kerosene heaters. Like that's man, you got lucky. That shit's like,
you just got to change the ring inside, that paper ring that burns, and the black
So
smoke will go away.
She knows. All right.
Yeah, that means that paper ring that's inside is done.
See, I'll let him know that.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just like looking back, trying to put it all into words is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because I never thought that would be who I became. And I never thought that I would put a man or drugs above my children. And I did for many years. I had a lot to make amends for with my children. My oldest son was offered a scholarship to diesel mechanic school, and he told me he didn't want to go and he wasn't interested in it. And then once I got clean, he let me know that he didn't go because he had to stay to protect his brother because I was too high all the time. So that made me feel like shit as a mom. At this time I'm like a single mom with a move-in boyfriend pretty quickly who I thought was the shit, who actually was a piece of shit.
Boyfriend. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's fun.
He just moved in and he came home with me one night and he never left. He came home with me on Halloween.
Now that I'm looking back at it, I was that guy a couple times.
He never left, and
it's kind of just like a stray cat. It's like, oh, well, he's here now. All right, I guess I have to feed him.
Yeah, I didn't want him to leave. I was just like, yeah, finally, but the lifestyle that came with him was insane.
Of course.
And of course, it wasn't his choice. It was my choice. I know that now. I don't blame him for any of it. But it had gotten so bad that, we had this... I don't even know where to begin. How many times he went to rehab, how many times I came back into the rooms of NA just trying to get it. Because I couldn't go to rehab. I had 2 kids. That's one of the things in our society today that I think they're finally starting to address, but hasn't been readily available, is that there are lots of parents who need help.
Yeah.
And can't go and get the help they need because they don't have place for their children.
That's a good point.
So I just went back to the rooms of NA. I went to a meeting last night, right? And it was it was across the street in this old white church, not usually where it's held. And this little white church is one of the first rooms that I ever went into.
Oh, wow.
And one of the first guys that I met was in that meeting. And it was like a total flashback of me going to this meeting and standing outside drunk talking to this guy who 4 years later wound up being my boss for a certain amount of time.
Oh, that's funny.
Right?
Yeah.
But just looking back at the in and out, in and out, in and out. And I told myself I was going to get clean because he went off to rehab again, and I was going to get clean because I didn't want to be the crackhead when he came home. I wanted to be that wholesome. I was a 1950s mom and wife for 20 years.
Yeah.
I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of everyone. It was my life.
Yeah.
It got old after a while, the drinking and the anger with my ex. And looking now, I'm like, that was cake compared to the shit I put myself through after that. So I went back into the rooms. That didn't work. I wound up, he came home. We both used again together, It was my birthday, my 37th birthday. I had Ravens tickets that morning. I woke up with a 5th of Ciroc next to my bed. Needless to say, within 25 minutes, I needed to go cop. I handed my Ravens tickets to my son, said, here, you go. I'm just going to stay home. And by the grace of my higher power in some way, I ended up sitting on the side of 695, passed out in my front seat, and I got a DUI for sleeping on the side of the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard about that before. You have to move to the other side of the
yeah, I know
seat.
that now. I threw my keys over there, but I didn't move my ass over there.
You gotta move yourself over there, and then you're okay.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked at Sam Goody, I went in for a morning shift one time. And the assistant manager got a DUI that way, and it was like, man, that sucks.
See, I would always sleep in the back seat of my Pontiac Vibe. They like said that, you know, you
were vibing in the backseat of a Pontiac Vibe.
you had to. You had to. You know, so you could at least like, you know, curl up a little bit.
Yeah, so my ex, he like tried to stop me from leaving. When I was using, I became very physically abusive. So I just kind of like...
An abusive redhead.
Yeah,
no way.
Really? I got very physically abusive. I wouldn't, you know, and I just basically beat my way out the front door. And yeah, I still to this day, it's a blur. I just remember being taken out of my car. And, you know, this is the tape I play back every time I ever think that I want to use again, is the fact that when I was being taken out of my car on the side of 95, I was covered in vomit and urine in the middle of the winter in a tank top and a pair of spandex, no shoes, my hair in a ghetto-ass bun.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the police officer looked like.
No.
I just remember the handcuffs being put on and being put in the back of a car. I still to this day do not know what police precinct I went to. I still don't know when I agreed to do a blow, but I blew a .18 like 2 hours after passing out on the side of the road, so God only knows. And I had to have my ex-boyfriend's mom. At that time, we were still together. She actually came and picked me up, and I was the good one, the one that was going to save her son. I was such a great woman for him.
Yep.
That was very humbling. Of course, I got the DUI. I wound up having to take all the classes, get the blower in my car, and I swore I would never use again.
Yep.
And I violated my blower one time. Finally, I went into the rooms. I had seen this woman I went back to the room, seen this woman for many, many years of me coming in and out. And that was it. I asked her to be my sponsor. And
who is it?
Jessica Matthews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I asked her to be my sponsor. I did have a sponsor prior to her, but we never had that connection. And that's on me because I didn't want it. I wasn't ready to surrender yet. But yeah, once I asked her to be my sponsor, I just started digging. He had went off again to jail. It wasn't rehab this time, it was jail. Yeah. And I had like 4 months clean. He had came home. He had to do a short stint that time, and then COVID hit. So I had like 4 months clean when COVID hit, and I was still involved with an active addict. Yeah. So I lived in addiction clean for 2.5 years. Any and everything that could possibly happen in my home did. The chaos, the drugs, the alcohol, the weapons. Now, mind you, all of this my children are being subjected to the whole time. And I forgot to mention that during that time, I did lose my original house that I had on 5 acres. Yeah. That I was paying $900 a month for. I had to sell that due to my addiction. I was spending all my money. And now I live in a townhouse that cost me $2,000 a month. So I did lose like... My kid's grandfather built that house, and I lost that house. The house that they grew up in. So that was like something else that kind of shook me. But yeah, 2.5 years into recovery, I did everything my sponsor told me. I got a home group. When COVID hit, we created a meeting. It still runs to this day, Monday through Saturday. It's a women's meeting. Nice. I was of service every morning in that meeting. I took her suggestions, and I had like 3 other home groups during that time.
Did you say Monday through Saturday?
Yes.
You have a home group that's every day?
It is no longer my home group due to the fact that I've went back to work. But yes, that was a meeting, and I had a service position every day.
There's a women's meeting that meets every day.
On Zoom, yes. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's fascinating. I mean, I knew about the old noon meetings that would meet every day, but I didn't know there were other meetings that did that.
Yeah, they meet Monday through Saturday, and the only reason it didn't meet on Sunday is because her and I had my sponsor and I had another home group on Sunday. But her and I started that meeting. It's still kicking ass today. It's awesome. A lot of women are finding recovery in that meeting. I pop in every now and again. But I became a service in like 3 or 4 other home groups because I literally was like in a meeting with my partner doing the Baltimore lean 2 feet away from me with a crack stem sitting on the floor. So I under talk about it, but it was exhausting. Yeah. I mean, the chaos. My bedroom always looked like a bomb went off. Of course. The 3 o'clock Jada Kiss meetings in the bathroom with himself.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Like all of it. The people coming through my house at any time, the disrespect, I can save him attitude. And then finally, after doing some step work and after, really, really having a solid group of women in my corner. And and then finding another gun in my home. After that, my home had been raided. Like my children went through it. My oldest one was held on a felony stop in my vehicle that day. He was held for over 20 hours. My youngest one was put in handcuffs and sat in the house to watch all the drama that went down and his home get flipped completely upside down.
Yeah.
When I found that gun 2.5 years into my recovery, because again, like I didn't want to be alone. I still wanted that man's attention. Finally had enough, and I called my sponsor, and we did whatever we had to do. I wound up having to go and get a protective order on him and actually show pictures of when he had choked me out and knocked me out, like early in our recovery, like early in our relationship when we were both high. I had to use those pictures. And luckily the lady at the commissioner's office, she had seen me there so many times and I was denied the protective orders that she walked me through how to do the protective order correctly this time. And
Nice.
he was removed from the home at like 3 a.m. on a Thursday night. And it was the hardest thing I ever did because I lived life by street code up to that point. Even in recovery, I still had certain street code values and morals. You don't call the cops.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
No matter what. But I had to. And then when he was leaving, he was begging, he was crying, you know, and I was hiding. I couldn't. I've seen him once since then, and it's been 3 years.
Awesome. Good.
So.
All right. Well, we definitely have some questions for you. Eric, would you like to start?
Well, just a quick is he the father of your children too?
No.
No. Okay, that's what I thought. I was just making sure. Okay, I will start. I have to ask about the crazy part of it. You are like really late starter.
Yes.
So you started using at 36?
No, she went to prom on acid.
No. There's a huge difference between
Yes,
taking like a
but-
flower power drug and then like, you know, smoking some crack.
Yeah.
My hardcore using started between 36 and 37.
That's how old we are now. Like, that just blows my mind.
Dude, if I sleep wrong, my body feels like shit.
How?
I can't imagine smoking crack on. I'm like, oh god. Oh.
So Karey, how do you feel about that? Because that's like, I can only imagine. Like, I, especially when I used to go to meetings all the time. Like a lot when I was younger. Like I would always remember hearing people who were older and being like, you know, I started using when I was older. I was like, how much would that fuck you up? Because like a lot of it's like, you know, oh man, I've been doing this for blah blah blah, and like that's how you build up all your cred and you know whatever. You know, I've been using for X Men number of years. Like, how much did it fuck you up? Like that you waited so long? Because you had to have thought about it.
Yeah, I'm grateful that I waited so long. That my kids were older, and not like 6 or 7 years old, and I wasn't smoking crack when my oldest was going through cancer because he had cancer when he was younger, but. You know, when I first came around into the rooms of NA, that's the program that I work as NA, I didn't feel like I really belonged there, that I didn't have that cred that you were talking about. But then the more I worked the program and the more I went to meetings and the more I involved myself into the fellowship of our program, whether I started at 36 or 16, I'm still an addict. And we have the same underlining reasons why we used. And I'm no different than someone who started at 16 or 17, you know. I don't know how I didn't start using earlier. I think if I would have had access to those drugs or if I would have been introduced to them, it definitely would have happened. But I was so isolated and not around those things.
What was that inciting incident like?
What do you mean?
Like that first time that you really like started using hard drugs, like was there a sense of relief or was there a sense of like you found it finally, or was there like, you know, what was that? Because like it's a much different feeling finding a drug at 36 than it is finding it at 16.
I just like the fact that I didn't have to feel anything.
That's perfect.
I like the fact that like all the drama and the chaos in my life, if I was high, my boyfriend and I got along better, you know, life was great. It was just the escape. It was, yeah. And finding it later in life and trying to manage that, while having a career, you know, as an executive assistant for an interior design company and trying to go to work. And like after having like a bender for 3 days and you work up on Monday morning, you know, not even woke up, but the birds start chirping and you're like, fuck, I got to go to work. It was definitely different because like from talking to other addicts, like I had that responsibility of an adult as a mom. I had to pay the rent, buy food, make sure the kids got to school, all while getting high and smoking crack in the bathroom at work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like starting later, I always feel like when I first got here, I was telling David, like, I just don't feel like I have a story. Like, I don't have this amazing, crazy story. But my story was crazy for the short amount of time that it was. You know, the insanity doesn't have to take 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the progression of the disease doesn't have to take 10, 20 years to hit bottom. For me, it took 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, you can slowly burn a bridge down, or you can blow that motherfucker up.
I blew that motherfucker up. Like I just went in and just started blowing shit up.
I'm fucking dynamite. Fuck this thing.
Yeah, like it was just all in from the moment I got off work to the time I, you know.
Yeah.
And then the weekends it was on. I left my oldest son to stay home with my youngest son.
Yeah. Hey, big one, you got the little one? Cool. Mom's out.
I was gone.
Mama gone.
And I always thought too, like crack didn't have a smell, so my kids could never tell when I was getting high. And then I found out after I got clean that it has a very distinct smell. And I was like, shit, they knew the whole time.
Yeah. Right. I got a question. Because this just came up, so you talked about like the birds waking you up, and Eric has talked about this. How he used to fucking hate birds. He was like, I fucking hated them, just the sound of them. And now he has like window boxes where he's attracting all the birds to his house.
I love birds now.
Yeah, so that's my question. So like, is there something that like you hated doing in recovery or in addiction that like your life has turned and you have a different perspective on it now, and you're like, you know, I actually really like that?
I mean, like, I would hate when the sun came up.
Yeah.
And I would hate when the birds start chirping. Now...
That's the worst. The birds talking in the morning.
I'm just like, shut the fuck up. It's not that time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that time. You know? No, I didn't go another 24 hours. Holy shit, I said I wasn't going to do this again, right? I said I wasn't going to go all night, you know? Yeah, I hated the fucking birds. But now, like... I love nothing more than being awake to see a sunrise in the morning. Yeah. To hear the birds. And like one of the things that I took for granted, which it may seem minimal to some, is just the breeze across my face.
Ooh. Nice.
It's one of the most exhilarating feelings for me. Like I just love to stand and feel Mother Earth blow across my face, and I'm alive and I'm not high. So yeah, for me, like I hated the birds, I hated the wind, I hated all of it. Yeah. Because the wind blew my Coke somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And you know, if the wind came through and blew my Coke everywhere, I was pissed.
Yep.
So now those are just things I love. Like I love the beach. I used to hate the beach because I don't know, but I did.
Getting sand in my lines. God damn it.
Like basically, yeah. Like I know bullshit. Like I just fucking couldn't get with it. But
oh my god, I couldn't imagine snorting beach sand. Oh, bird.
Oh my god, I think I've snorted way worse than beach sand in my time.
Oh, that sounds awful. Oh god.
Ow.
Yeah, ow. Exactly. What you got, Eric?
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about that real quick. Hold on.
Snorting beach sand.
Yeah, it would hurt. That's like snorting cat litter or smoking cat litter.
It hurts so bad.
Like I'm pretty
like Tylenol hurt. Like,
I'm pretty sure I smoked cat litter. You know,
I'm sure
I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah,
I definitely
don't even think it was like a choice. You were like, whatever.
Well, no, you're thinking about it like you drop crack on the ground and like it looks really close to cat litter. You know,
because you were using like the crystal cat litter, weren't you?
Is this meth or is this cat litter?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm smoking it anyway.
Yep.
All right, so you mentioned that you have a child in the rooms.
I do.
Which at first I didn't think you were that old to have a child in the rooms, but
older or younger?
My oldest.
Okay. Or oldest. Okay. So, what is that like having? You know, like I can't even imagine at this point. But what is it like having a son in the rooms while you're in the rooms?
This is his second time in the rooms. The first time, I don't want to go too in depth in his story because it's not mine to tell, and I respect his recovery and his program. But he stayed for a while and then he decided to leave, just like many of us do. And then he had a life-changing experience. He was in a very horrible car accident with his best friend since pre-K. And his best friend was injured. His car was totaled. and he had to suffer the consequences. And he blew a .15. He was charged with a DUI, leaving the scene of an accident, several other things. I hate that I see me repeating in my son. Thank God that I came into the rooms when I did, and I had the knowledge that I have now to guide him through that process and to help him through all his legal stuff. But one thing that I wouldn't do was pay for his lawyer. I showed him how to get a public defender, but told him that if he didn't feel comfortable with the public defender, that he would have to get a lawyer. He's on probation now. We have a blower in the car again, because his car was totaled, so he uses mine. So it's a humbling experience for me with almost 5 years clean to get in my car and blow a blower to start it.
Wow.
But watching, the first time he was in the rooms, I was too involved. This time, when I came in, I was on probation. He comes in, he's on probation. I hear from him what I heard from myself when I first got here. I'm just doing this to stay out of jail. I'm hoping that the body keeps coming and the mind follows. I mean, he's got almost 9 months clean.
Nice.
He has his own network, his own program, his own people. He goes to intensive outpatient. It's very hard as a mom to be hands off in your child's recovery. And then, when they ask for your for help for something, you have to say, do you want mom or do you want NA mom?
Ooh.
Right? Do you want mom or do you want me to come at you with what I've learned in my recovery in the last 5 years? Because,
that might be the title, Eric. Do you want mom or NA mom?
it's two different things.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
As a mom, I'm all you. Defending you constantly. As an NA mom, I'm calling you on your shit. And I'm going to tell you where you're wrong and you need to take a check and look at yourself. But, we butt heads. But we get along great. We have a bond because of the disease of addiction now that I was hoping to break before it went to the next generation. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary. And then, in my area, unfortunately or fortunately, or however you want to look at it, even with almost 5 years clean, you're considered to be a predecessor. So then he's coming in behind me. And we tried very hard to keep him and I separate. Yeah. But eventually people started finding out that he was my son. I mean, you can't deny it. He looks like me. You're Karey's son? And we had to have the conversation. I just want to be known as me. Right? I just don't want to be known as your son.
Yeah.
And so I would introduce him to people, but not as my child. Yeah. And if he chose to tell them, that's fine. I mean, now we have cookouts at the house and things like that. And most of the people in our network know that, but I don't go around and being oh, you know. All right, I did ask you if you knew him, but you said you did. I didn't give a name. I didn't say anything. Yeah. I try to respect his anonymity and his program to the highest extent, because when I put my hands in it and I try to control it, it's over. Yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a lot to even explain.
Oh, yeah. Eric, by the way, why don't we have tissues on this table? What the hell is the matter with you?
I don't know, dude.
I pulled it back in. I'm good.
I know. You were looking, and I was like, damn it, we don't have any tissues.
I was looking to the side just to pull myself together so I didn't lose it.
We've had so many people cry in those chairs, including me, and it's why don't we have tissues?
Yeah, I could definitely cry about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When my son called and told me that he was in that accident.
Yeah.
And I prayed and prayed and prayed that he would just stop the drinking and stop the smoking and stop the using and lead by example, right? So that's all I could do.
All right. We're going to switch to a fun question.
Yeah, please.
We're going to do a happy question. Well, weird question, happy question. You are a ginger.
I am.
Okay. How much of have you ever been teased for being a ginger?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so you've heard all the gingers have no souls, and there's all sorts of like I said, I made the joke earlier, a violent ginger. What?
Yeah.
I've met a lot of very handsy redheaded women. They're very how much quote unquote stigma about redheaded women is true, because they're feisty, they're scrappy, they're loudmouth. How much of it is true?
Pre-recovery, all of it.
Okay. All right.
Pre-recovery, all of it.
Okay.
Now that I'm in recovery, I'm completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calm, for the most part.
Yeah.
I can get upset, but I have tolerance today. I can allow grace.
But Sheila.
Yeah, I know Sheila.
Like Sheila is still
Yeah. Very much so.
I love Sheila.
I love Sheila.
Like Sheila's my home grade. I absolutely love her, but she is still like sometimes you're like, okay, let's dial it from like an 8 to like a 6.
People tell me all the time that what they love about me, and it'll fall into the typical Ginger thing, is that I don't sugarcoat shit.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. I don't got time for your drama, your bullshit, or your attitude.
I don't know why it is like with redheaded women, but like they're just intense women. They are.
Yeah. Like I've been told by my network that people are intimidated by me. They're afraid to talk to me. And I'm like, why? And they're just like, because you say it like it is, and people don't want to hear that shit. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. You know, like some of my sponsees don't like when I tell it like it is. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. Lying to you is going to kill you. That's the one thing that I definitely am. I can be feisty. I can do all of that. But I guess it all depends on the individual that I'm having that relationship with. Yeah. Because I can become very submissive in other areas and very quiet. But being in recovery has definitely changed how feisty. I will never throw on a man again. I will never fight a physical fight unless absolutely necessary again. Yeah. It's just not in me anymore. Yeah. You know, like I had someone but say something personal to me in a group conscience in a home group recently. Yeah. And the old me would have told that person to go get fucked and shove it up his ass. And the new me just didn't say anything. Yeah. And he realized that he hurt my feelings, and he came up and he hugged me. But I mean, I didn't hug him back. That was my best way of like.
Dude, in recovery, I told one of the sweetest dudes that I've known for a dozen years now to go fuck himself, and I threw the meeting keys at him. Matt M.
Oh yeah,
Matt and Allison.
Matt.
Yeah, and I
absolutely love Matt.
Allison.
Allison is the one who really got me in the recovery.
You should listen to her podcast.
Oh my god,
Matt and Allison's podcasts are both great.
Yeah, I was at a meeting with my ex, and it was they were going to 34th Street in Baltimore around Christmas time. David was celebrating, if you remember David, and she insisted that I get on that bus, and it was on like Donkey Kong from there. Nice. Yeah. Oh yeah. Allison. Yeah. Yeah. But my ex was really good friends with an ex of hers. Oh, okay. So we went through some things together early in my recovery. Yeah. Nice. I think I might have still actively been using, actually. I was actively using when her friend passed away. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask a second question, Eric.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is a question I just answered recently. So I'm finishing up my 12th step. How have you seen the message working in your life? And for anybody who doesn't know, the message is that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. So how have you seen that working in your life?
I found the desire. I stopped using. And I have a new life, like a whole new life. Yeah. They say it's a life beyond your wildest dreams. And sometimes the dreams don't have to be huge. I'm grateful every day to just wake up. Yeah. To be making the daily amends to my children. Yeah. To be working.
See the sunrise, hear the birds, feel the breeze.
All of that. And to be working in a field where I'm able to take my training and my recovery, combine the two and make a difference. Where I work as a peer recovery specialist for the county now. Nice. Never thought I would get that government job they all talked about
Baltimore
when I first
County?
got here. Howard County.
Oh, nice.
And I work with
that's
our homeless.
That's the easier county. Yeah. Baltimore County, that's an intense job.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's very intense at Howard County.
Howard County is like, you don't see the shit.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Howard County.
Don't see the
we
shit.
just have a really, really nice rug that we sweep this under.
Right. You don't see the shit. But I see the shit.
Yeah,
right?
I grew up in Howard County. I know.
I fucking, yesterday had a 67-year-old man with 3 children who unfortunately lost his job. He lost his apartment. He's homeless. And nobody trying to help him. And I had to help advocate for him. And he's texted me this morning, and my job is nonstop. I mean, I do have basic hours, but my clients have constant contact with me. I've gotten homeless people off the street to go to treatment, and like I said, the treatment world is changing, and thank God, but not fast enough.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why like the program has changed my perspective on addicts.
Yeah.
Because like when I used to look at my dad, I would always ask, why can't you quit? Why don't you love me enough? Ain't I enough? What is it about me that you can't put down your drugs?
Yeah.
And now like learning that this is a disease and not a moral deficiency, right? I suffer from the disease of addiction, and being able to take that and do something positive with it, that's what the program's given to me in the time that I've been here.
Yeah.
It's given me back self-respect. It's given me back the ability to just be myself. And I don't give a fuck if you don't like me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just me. Love me or leave me. I don't care. I don't have to fit in with you. I don't have to people please for you anymore.
There's the ginger.
There's not there's not enough words or expression that could say what the program has done for me.
I know.
There's no way. It has saved my life.
And when I was answering that question, I was like, how do I answer this?
Yeah,
I was
how?
like, it's something in 365 every day for, 12 years. Like, how do you quantify that into an answer?
I'm alive.
I'm alive. I'm married. I have a kid. Like, I have a job. I have a career. Like, I pay my bills on time. I show up and like people call me and like want to have me around and like, there's too many ways to answer that question.
People help and you help without expecting or wanting anything in return.
Yep.
That's, it's a different way of life.
Yeah.
I mean, like if our society in a whole could adapt a 12-step program, I think our world would be in a much better place.
Oh, yep. That's very poignant. Especially this week.
Yep. So, like, I stick very closely to the traditions and to the spiritual principles of this program. Even outside of the rooms of NA, I won't discuss certain things with family members.
Yep.
I won't go into depth with sponsees who want to talk about certain things because I don't want to not like you because of some difference, right? I don't want to judge you because we have a difference of opinion somewhere or somehow. Yep. This program gives me a roadmap to live a life that I never thought possible when I was using. I never thought I would get out of the grips of it.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Eric?
This is my last question. So,
no.
Well, you mentioned that your son is in remission from cancer. That's obviously a huge fear of any parent. So how was that experience of going through, leukemia? Like I know our host Carly has a situation like that with her niece right now, and it has to be terrifying.
She's in remission.
Oh, great.
Yeah, she is doing very well.
Great. That makes me happy. But yeah, how is like everything now, and how was going through that experience back then?
He is in full remission now. Any and every time he gets sick, I get scared, even at 26 years old. I think that's one of the reasons why, I have people in my network that feel I need to push him out of the nest. But my son almost died. And, that's just really hard for me to talk about. Because every time I think about it, like, I just thank God that I wasn't in active addiction during that time. Like, he was in remission, like, 3 times. And his cancer came back. He had a really rare form. And he got the bone marrow transplant. And then he had, like, graft versus host disease where he was fighting the transplant.
Oh, no, that's hard.
And the doctor's telling you to go, and, like, I still, like, the pain, it's a lot. Like, I can instantly, I'm sorry, I'm crying this. I can't hold back. If anybody ever asks me about that question, like, being told by the doctor that you need to go home and make arrangements for your 6-year-old fucking son.
Yeah, doctors suck.
And I honestly believe that the only reason that my son is alive today is because my ex-husband, who is an atheist, fell to his knees and begged for my son to live. That's the one and only time my ex-husband ever prayed. And that gives me a stronger connection with my higher power today in recovery. Because, like, my other son, he's 22. He has an immune deficiency disorder.
Yeah.
And he could have died. You know, it's like, but yeah, watching.
Which immune deficiency disorder?
It's an immune deficiency disorder. It's called hereditary angioedema. So basically, any stress or physical harm could cause his body to swell. He has an A1 chromosome immune deficiency. We found this out because he woke up and looked like he had a stroke at, like, I think it was 10 years old. His face was completely drooped. But yeah, like, I live in constant fear that
I hate that you asked this question, Eric. God damn you.
Well, I had to ask the question.
I live in constant fear that he is struggling to live a clean life and have a good life and become a good man, and then that his cancer's going to come back and take him out anyway. And that's my biggest fear, and that's my biggest reservation.
Yeah.
But I know that I have a network of women that this program has given me, and a network of men that using would be my last option.
I mean, it's fair that that's reservation. That's totally fair.
But yeah, like, watching, like, my son, like, went through chemo and radiation, and I just, like, one of the worst memories I have is, like, walking through CVS when he was 6 years old, and this old fucker making some comment about the way my son looked with all this judgment. I wasn't a woman in recovery then, so I told that man where he could go.
Yep.
But yeah, like, going back there, it's very easy for me to get emotional.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
But yeah, like, a lot of people...
I'm sorry, asshole Eric, to ask that question.
No, it's okay. A lot of people don't understand, like, the bond that like, some people think that I have, like, this crazy weird bond with my children. But, like, I've almost lost both of my children.
Yeah.
Both of my children have almost died. My children have almost lost me. I've almost died several times in active addiction. I'm grateful to have my children in my life. Do they need to grow up in certain areas? Absolutely. Do I wish there was a man in their life that could guide them how I can't? Absolutely. Their father's a piece of shit.
Yep.
I don't ever say that to them.
Yeah.
You know, I say you need to love your father, especially with the oldest one. Work the program and maintain your relationship the best that you can, unless it's unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, he works with his dad, but yeah, that's a loaded one. Thanks.
Yeah. Way to go, Eric.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I held back tears. That was very difficult. I'm all out of questions as well. So we'd like to thank Karey for joining us today.
It was great being here.
You did an absolutely fantastic job.
Thank you.
We're going to give you one more quick minute to talk to anybody out there who needs to hear a message of hope and a message of strength. What do you have to say directly to them?
That any addict seeking recovery, you never die. That there is a way out, even when we feel that there's no way up. Someone is always, especially in my program, got a hand up or a hand out to lift me up. And, you know, when you're ready, just find the rooms. We're here to help you. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do anything to help anyone.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you again for joining us. Everybody out there saying thanks for listening. Go to all our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. If you want to, become part of the home group, please join our Patreon because we are self-supporting and need help keeping the mics on. And here at Podcast Recovery, we're aiming to expand the we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed, and we believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. That was right off the top of my head, Eric, so that's pretty damn good. I wrote that 6 years ago. That's pretty good. Yeah, everybody, thanks for joining us. Karey, love you. Thank you so much.
You too.
But most importantly, everybody out there,
Stay safe and stay clean.